So, welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the Anchor Leg Podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Gushman, joined by my co-host.
Josh Hernandez, and a
And
very special guest we have today, Julien Camy of Calvin.
Hello, hello.
all right, Julian. So, thanks again for taking time to join us today. We're super excited to get to know you, hear a little bit more about you. So, we want to just start off by asking, we want to hear what you've been doing so far this season. Obviously, you had a great midseason, great start to the year in your dual meets. Take us through what your trainings looked like this year and how you've really come in, firing on all cylinders this year.
Yeah, well, I think first off, I have to mention I had a shoulder injury last year that cut my kind of training short, I guess going into the year. And so that really kind of motivated me to get after it this past summer. So I was swimming a couple club meets, went down to sectionals, and then coming into the season, I knew that it was kind of my last year, wanted to make up for everything. So that was the driving kind of motivation behind everything. And then really just kind of, yeah, talk to coaches, try to figure out everything I can work on in my races, really try to take my underwaters to another level this year. Because that was always my strong suit. And then with the shoulder injury, was able to really kind of train the legs, focusing on that. Um, but yeah, so then worked on turns, worked on everything, and just a combination of racing every weekend, putting on a suit, not being afraid to throw it on a time, no matter what the meet was. And yeah, I think that's kind of started the journey. Yeah.
So, you guys suit up for all of your dual meets.
It's something that our coach gives us the option to do.
Mhm.
So I haven't suited up for every race, every meet, but definitely the 100 fly. I feel that, especially this year, I think that's what's going to be preparing me the most for nationals. Throwing in a suit, getting the fast swims in every single week, no matter what the circumstances are. That's gonna make me know the race, and I feel like I've gotten to the point where I have that race down. I know what to expect going into pretty much any 100 fly now.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and something that we're kind of seeing a bigger shift to in college swimming is teams that aren't really afraid to throw on suits for dual meets and stuff like that. Do you think that that's I know you mentioned it's really put you in a better position in the 100 fly, and you sort of got to racing that at a high speed, and do you think that's made a big difference this year, and coming in and having those like 2 or 3 47s under your belt before you got to midseason?
Yeah, I think it definitely boosted my confidence knowing that worst case scenario, I'm probably going a 47 mid. So that's really just kind of been nice. But yeah, I just like the familiarity, knowing exactly where I'm popping up off every underwater, how many strokes I need to take to the wall in a suit, whereas I'm not like kind of filling that out in prelims anymore. That's helped a lot. Um, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's a whole new level of just understanding the race in a suit versus showing up to a taper meet and then figuring it out on the fly.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a huge advantage for you over your competitors. I really do like that approach. Just out of curiosity, what club team were you training with, or were you training with Calvin in the summer?
No, so I was kind of swimming with North Kent Aquatic team and Cat, and they are just kind of a small club team over at Northview High School, which is about 20 minutes north of Calvin.
Hmm.
So I trained a little bit with them, a little bit on my own with some of my teammates, like Vlad Molin,
Yeah,
one of our better sprinters here. Yeah, just I probably didn't do quite as much as I should have, but a lot of lifting, a lot of fun workouts with him. It's good motivation, yeah.
yeah, for sure. That's definitely something that we've heard a common theme of is lifting and underwaters in the off season.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely seems to help out.
Yeah. So I think kind of on that same topic, I know you touched on typically you maybe didn't train as much in the off season. I know you said this year you wanted to go into it in as best shape as possible, but maybe talk a little bit more about using the dead periods like I know over Thanksgiving break or winter break. What do you tend to do to stay in shape during the season? Because obviously being D3, we kind of have those weird periods where it's maybe just captain's workouts or whatever.
Yeah, well, Thanksgiving break, we're still on taper because our invite was the weekend after Thanksgiving. So for that, really just a lot of rest, sitting on the couch, eating good food. Yeah, our coach just really doesn't want us stressing about it because we show up, we swim great at invite, so a little bit of swimming here and there. Winter break though, um, yeah, I try to get in a couple times a week, probably I'd say 3, 4 times a week, and then a lot of lifting. I really enjoy lifting. It's something that I can really stay focused on because after big meets, I get a little burned out, need to take a week out of the pool. Uh, let's see, this week or this break, I'm going to France though, so that's gonna be interesting to see. Um, I'm seeing grandparents, but I don't know what my access is gonna be to gyms or pools, so it'll be fun to balance. But honestly, it's kind of just a reset period where I can sit back, relax, take my mind off of it, and kind of reset the mentality going into second semester.
Yeah, that's definitely being overseas will definitely be interesting. Maybe you can get some long course training in or some short course meters. So that's always fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So on that note, with how your training's been going so far this year, what would you say is like the hardest set that you guys have done this year, or the set that you think best prepared you to go ahead and rip that 46 at midseason?
Ooh, well, let's see. I can take this 2 ways. Hardest set, our coach has been really dialing on these kind of 18-100s where we focus on building up our speed, kind of 80%, 90%, and then all out. And so that's a set that I'm not very good at. I don't do well in kind of low rest, high speed sets like that. But as far as what's prepared me the most, we do a lot of kind of tower training where we work the tempo with resistance. And that's been good for my front end speed a lot. And then we also do a bunch of stuff where we do butterfly with a cord in the middle of the pool. And we have to go underneath underwater past halfway every time. So that kind of stuff, just feeling the underwaters, feeling the high tempo with the catch. Um, I think yeah, that's what's been preparing the most, what I'm focusing on, ripping that. Yeah.
So is it Chris that does most of the sprint group work with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's a huge help. He works with everybody.
Mhm.
I mean, him and having Dan, they're both super, super knowledgeable. Dan knows how to structure workouts in a way where you get to the end of it and you're firing on all cylinders. I mean, we throw fins and paddles on after quite a few sets and just like rip some 50s. Um, and then Chris, yeah, he knows the technique. He knows it's insane what he knows and how much he's able to help me with my races. And I think he's really happy seeing us kind of get close to what is some of his PRs were at Oakland now with Noah last year taking down his 50 and I'm within about a tenth of a second of his 100 to fly.
Yeah. I actually worked with Chris as an age group swimmer at Ole back when he was still on deck at OU before he went and ended up doing Aqua Club for a couple of years and then making his way over to Calvin. So yeah, great guy,
Yeah.
definitely a great influence to have on the deck. So sounds like you guys have a great staff there, and certainly looks like they know what they're doing, given your results at this point in the year. So it's
Yeah.
great stuff.
Yeah, I mean the four of us, I guess, have just been like ogling at your guys' relays. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The sprint group over at Calvin on the men's and women's side is just crazy.
Oh yeah. No, our sprint group is firing on all cylinders right now. I mean, the women's for free relay was incredible to watch. They absolutely dusted the D2 competition, which is impressive. It shattered the pool record. Um, yeah, and so I think we'll see like 249s on that come NCAAs out of Maggie and Sydney, and Izzy's gonna be real close on that flat start. So yeah. And then on the men's side, obviously we lost Noah and Jake, but I don't think we took that much of a step backward in terms like David Bajwa stepped up going 20.01, which is ridiculous because he was our 2IM, 4IM guy for the past 2 years. And out of nowhere, he just turned into our best sprinter. So yeah, something that they're cooking up in a sprint training is really just working here.
Yeah, I mean we can definitely tell.
Yeah.
So
So
oh, go ahead, Josh.
yeah, I was gonna say, I guess we kind of touched on this earlier, saying you put on the suit to help prepare for your mid-season races, but what else do you do, I guess, to kind of mentally get locked in? Because obviously, even if you are racing in those suits at dual meets, there is still a difference. The energy is a little bit different at a mid-season invite. So what do you kind of do to mentally prepare yourself for that kind of environment?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to my junior year where we were this was at MIAA championships, and on the men's side we were losing to Hope. It's still pretty close, but it's definitely starting to slip. It was Saturday night going into the two fly, and I had a teammate come up to me and tell me that if I didn't win the event, we weren't gonna have a shot at winning the meet. And so that really like it just drained me, kind of the weight of the expectations. I was lost it completely mentally. And I went up to our assistant coach, who was then Grant Anger, and he's moved on to a D2 school out in Colorado now. But he told me to swim the race in a way that no matter what the time was, I would be proud with the result. And so that's kind of something that I think of before every race, that as long as I'm like executing my race, hitting my turns, underwaters to 15, I'm going to be proud of it no matter the time. And so that kind of de-stresses me, takes some of the pressure off. But also this year I've been like the anxiety goes up before the race, and I've just been telling myself it's because I want it, and I'm excited to swim it. And so I think I've been way more on top of handling the stress this year than in years past in that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a great approach to take. I've sort of taken the lesson of, if all the elements of the race are there and executed well, then the time will come. And I think that's in a similar vein as you'll be proud with the result, no matter the time, if you execute on what you've been working on in training. So I think that's certainly a good way to look at it, and seems to have translated to some pretty good results too. So, just out of curiosity, did you end up winning the event when your teammate told you that?
I did. I did end up winning it. It hurt though. That was
Yeah,
not a fun fly.
yeah. The two fly on the last day of any championship meet, let alone conference meet, is definitely pretty grueling. So kudos to you, obviously, for getting it done. And that was that 2021 MIAAs?
Yeah, that was 2021 MIAA championships.
Very nice. So you guys think that you're going to come back and take the crown back from Hope this year, hopefully?
Well, on the guys' side, we got it. We took it back last year.
Mhm.
We're looking to defend it this year, and I think we can. Just what we've seen from our team, they always show up at MIAA championships, though. So the times they're putting up right now are not exactly indicative of what they're going to go. They always go quite a bit faster. So I'm really looking forward to racing those guys. They're always super fun. And then it's a super, super good rivalry between us and them.
Yeah, no, certainly. We got a sneak peek at Hope on deck at our midseason. Definitely, like you said, I know they're a team that sort of comes into form more in the second half of the year, but they had a few noteworthy swims at Kenyon and at the shootout over in Chicago. So definitely a team to watch. But like you said, it'll be a great team race between you and Hope at the end of the year. So we're certainly looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I thought that was super interesting. How you said you kind of pivoted your anxiety or anxiousness before a race into being excited. That's kind of something I might want to look into, because I definitely get the feeling when you're now standing behind the blocks, you kind of feel little butterflies or like whatever. And I kind of just try to ignore it, but maybe like embracing it might be the way to go.
Yeah. I think also before this Hunter Fly, was it week and a half ago? Just standing next to Tim Stallings, the Finley guy. He was, I think, one of the nicest competitors I've been against. He kind of just like came up, gave me a hug before. It was like, let's go get it. And so that also kind of helped, just knowing it was like we're having fun at the end of the day. It's this meet is really nice because there's really no pressure on us to perform in terms of points. So we're just like straight up trying to rip it, go for times, and yeah, it was just a fun meet overall, fun competition, fun atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, you guys certainly have a great facility too, pretty fast pool. I've swam there a couple times, long course, but never yards. But it seems like some pretty fast times always get put up at that meet. So definitely speaks to your point. I think that is a good thing to look at when you're not really necessarily going for a result. I mean, we were fourth at our meet as well. So I think that kind of is a good atmosphere that's conducive to some fast swimming. And obviously your relay times were very solid. Did you guys win any of the men's relays?
Ooh, I don't think we did this year. Um, yeah, losing Noah and Jake hurt because I think we took the 2 free and 4 free last year.
Hmm.
Um, but I think yeah, we were just off of them, I think, this
Oh
year.
wow, yeah. That was a close race. I'm looking at the results right now. It was 120.00, 122.6, and you guys went 126.2. So that came down to the wire between Grand Valley, Northern Michigan, and you boys.
Yeah, I mean, certainly nothing to be ashamed of. Grand Valley and Northern are just cooking this year. I mean, there were some great swims. I think Eric was like 4:19 and 15:08 in the distance swims for Grand Valley. I mean, that's a team that top to bottom has a lot of depth and a lot of speed across different events. So, I mean, the fact that you guys were that close with them obviously speaks volumes to your sprint group. And I think you're second or third right now with fact check me on this, Josh. There's Kenyon and
Um,
Carnegie Mellon should be up there too.
it is their fifth. Kenyon, NYU, Emory, Carnegie, Calvin.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty impressive group to be up there with in the sprints. So
Yeah. I think, I mean, really think that those relays can climb a little bit second semester. I think we'll see some 19s at MIAAs with kind of the pressure, and yeah, I'm so excited to see our boys race that, and we got a lot of guys that are fighting for those spots. So just internal competition, and then racing for points at MIAAs will bring the best out of us.
yeah, I was gonna say I think it says a lot about your depth. If I recall correctly, I think Corey was one of the guys that was like 19 mid last year on that NCAA relay, and then was on the B relay at your midseason invite this year. So clearly, there's a lot of guys that are capable of that, 20 low, 19 high swim. So
Yeah, no, he'll be 19.5 again. Come MIAAs. I think he was battling like a little flu or something this past week. Yeah, we had a little bug going around. It wasn't too bad, but a few of our guys got it. Yeah, it will be sub 120 again this year for sure. Pushing that one sub 19 119 mark.
yeah, yeah, no, certainly you guys have the talent to do it. Sort of segueing in a bit of a different direction here. I know we've talked a lot about like your approach to swimming, all that stuff, but we kind of want to know, part of what we look at into the podcast is, sort of the Division III aspect of Division III swimming. It's a little bit less, hey, swim is your whole life than, D1, D2 might be. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, like what your sort of passions and interests are, maybe outside of the pool. In the broader community at Calvin, we kind of just want to hear more about your story.
Yeah. I like Calvin was always the school I was going to. First because my mother's a prof here. She teaches French. Um, so I took a lot of French classes, got my French major, and I'm also doing pre-PT in school, which is new. I added that this year. Mainly due to the shoulder injury last year. Had a great experience rehabbing it. And yeah, I mean, I think I've been able to really just relax, get what 2 degrees if you count pre-PT French, and then a English minor. Um yeah, he took me off guard a little bit there. Wasn't expecting that. But no, I feel like D3 it's just been really fun. Able to perform no pressure, really better myself because I wasn't a great swimmer coming out of high school. I was new to the sport, started my freshman year, and just was able to come into a program where we really taught that everybody has a spot, everybody's loved, and that yeah, just that atmosphere has made me grow both as a swimmer and as a person quite a bit these past 5 years that I've been here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. Obviously, we kind of have a lot of, similar stories that we've heard of, guys that sort of came out of high school as, obviously solid recruits. I mean, you were good enough to get a spot on the Calvin team, but, really made leaps and bounds of improvements in college. And I think like the one common theme, like you sort of mentioned, is you're doing it to better yourself, right? Swimming for you, not for a scholarship or, for a spot because you have to. I mean, I think the beauty of Division III swimming is sort of that everybody shows up because they want to, not because they have to. So yeah, and I mean, that's also an awesome story, that, the pre-PT was sort of the, led by the catalyst of your shoulder injury. Not something that I really would have thought of, but it's great that you could take that, thing that kind of made you sit out of the water for a little bit and turn it into something really positive.
Yeah. Yeah, just great experience working with his name's Ryan. I did multiple months with him. I was like the entire season basically. I was working with him trying to make sure that first out rehabbed, healed properly, and then second semester that I showed up to meets ready to swim. Really just took the time to make sure I was firing at 100%, and we had fun. Like he's a super fun guy, chatting, getting to know each other, and so now I'm shadowing him, and it's just been more of the same. And yeah, it's just kind of crazy how stuff that I never thought would happen really impacted my life and changed its course in that way. Going into PT now, and all the fun people I'm meeting along the way. I'm super excited for it. I'm looking forward to going to grad school in 2 years, and yeah, just following that path.
Yeah, no, certainly
Well,
an awesome path to follow. And it's great that you have the resources available to you at Calvin, to shadow. And you said you're going to grad school in 2 years.
Yeah, so I'll apply in the summer. Not sure where I'm going yet. I think Grand Valley is probably my top option. Stay in the area, be able to come support the boys next year, next couple of years, watch them swim. Um, but yeah, just kind of really figuring out. Decided that this year I'm taking a ton of credits right now, trying to catch up with everybody else. It's been fun.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Kind of to pivot, I guess, from that question, what kind of do you do any like clubs or any extracurriculars outside of swimming on campus? Is there any other activities you enjoy doing in your free time?
Um, I'm born that way where I don't do a whole lot outside of swim. I've kind of just really just all my passion goes into it. Like hanging out with friends, game a little bit, watch a little bit of anime, if you can tell from the poster behind me and stuff. Uh yeah, just kind of a swim bum, to be honest.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I think you'll find a lot of agreement amongst at least Josh and I are kind of in the same boat as you. We're a big eat, sleep, swim type of guys in the school. Obviously, I'm kind of in a similar boat to you. I'm uh, pretty close to graduating, but catching up on credits as well because I made a late switch from pre-med to econ when
Very
I
nice.
came to school here. So um, that's definitely also another good thing is during the off season and stuff like that, you got a lot more time to focus on school. So you can pick up an English minor and a pre PT major, and not have too many issues with it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Jaden, Peter Griffin and I are kind of just swim bums. Our extracurricular is the podcast. So, but Jaden's off running his company, so he's got other things to do. But yeah, the three of us are kind of with you on that.
Yeah. Well, the podcast is coming along pretty good. I've enjoyed it every time I listen. So kudos to you guys.
yeah, we really appreciate the
Appreciate it.
support. Yeah, it's definitely something that we kind of just picked up on because we sort of noticed that there wasn't exactly a platform for stories like yours and ours. So it's really good that it's picked up as much steam as it has. Obviously, we want to continue to grow, and we're pretty small right now, but we're glad that you enjoy the content, and obviously it led you here, so not too bad. Just sort of to wrap everything up, I think we covered a lot of good material. Obviously, super insightful look into your training so far this year, but we want to just give you the floor for any, last minute shout outs, messages to your teammates, coaches, et cetera. Anything you want to talk about, totally feel free.
Yeah. I want to shout out David Bajwa. I mentioned him earlier, kind of coming out and just becoming our best sprinter out of nowhere. Um, but he is somebody that I think he really likes your podcast too. He'd be worth having on. I think he'll reach out to you guys at some point next semester. But he is also like someone that just loves diving into all the swimming aspects, all the times, other meets, seeing where everyone stacks up on the team. Um, and yeah, it's he's somebody I think would have done a podcast if you guys hadn't jumped on it first. Uh, but yeah, really just excited to finish up this my final year with the team, see if we can place even higher than ninth, what we did last year on the guys side, and super excited to cheer on the girls. Hopefully they can push for top 10 this year. I think they can. They got a really strong squad, some good incoming freshmen like Emma Merkel. Still better than her in the 100 back though. Have to let her know. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, we appreciate it. We appreciate the shout out to David Boswell. That's somebody who's occasionally in our comment section in our DMs. We always appreciate hearing the stories about fellow swim nerds. I mean, without people like us, there wouldn't be an anchor like podcast anyway.
Right.
So certainly somebody we want to have on the podcast in the future. And obviously, we're super looking forward to seeing the results from Calvin. Like you said, eager to see where you guys will stack up amongst the competition at NCAA. It's always great for me, at least, to see some Michigan representation on the national stage as somebody who's from the Metro Detroit area. But once again, Julien, I mean, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been super insightful, and we really loved having you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully we can run into each other in person sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe at NCAA's there could be a little anchor like podcast meetup.
Oh, that would be great. That would be so
Yeah.
much fun.
Well, thanks again, Julien. Gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. So thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for joining us. And this has been another episode of the Anchor Like podcast. Signing off.